The next big expansion is here. The next big expansion is here. Can you feel it? Can you feel the energy and how potent it is? The next big expansion is here. For those of you who have already expanded and who have been living in this level of expansion for some time now, and this expansion has become your normal, there is another expansion that is making itself available. And if you are present, you will feel the energy of this expansion. You will feel it in your emotions. You will feel different body sensations, so different tingles on different parts of your body. You will start inquiring again. You will start inquiring around some experiences in life that you are now seeing to be illusion. And this expansion that is making itself available, and it's not coming subtly, and equally it's not coming in suffering, but there is this energy of expansion that is so undeniable, and it is seeking your permission. And so this is the theme of this video: permission. Permission to say yes to this next big expansion. Now, I'd like to speak about permission on two levels. And the first level is the permission that is being asked of you in your humanness, you in your daily life, you Shari, you Charbel, you Alana, you Andrew, you Natalie. There is a permission that is seeking to be said yes to, and it's the human part of you in the whole of your life that is asking to participate in this next expansion. And so there are some questions to be answered by us who are feeling the potency of this next big expansion. There are some questions that are being asked of us. And the questions are around: can I trust myself more than I ever have to surrender to this next big expansion? Can I trust myself beyond circumstance, beyond even knowing in tangible form what this next big expansion is about, what it's going to create, what it's going to impact and reach and touch into? Beyond even knowing that, we are being asked to surrender our mind, to surrender the whole of ourselves into this next big expansion. And so there's a great level of faith that is here in the air, and this faith is holding us. This faith that is intangible, that in physical form cannot be seen and has no certainty. There is a great faith that is holding us in an effortlessness, that this next big expansion is making available to us. So do you give yourself permission to trust yourself more than you ever have? Are you willing to surrender into the faith that is in the air, that is holding us and moving us towards this next big expansion? Do you give yourself permission? And do you give yourself permission to grow an even more massive level of deservedness? A level of deservedness where there is no question, that what you are here to bring and what you are here to experience is rightfully yours. Do you give yourself permission to engage and to inhabit, to become one with that level of deservedness where there is no question that this experience of life, that this expanded experience of life and self is yours to have? Do you give yourself permission? Do you give yourself permission to enter a level of presence and intuition with life, such that you are not a physical human walking in this separate life, but you are the human with your humanly needs and preferences and ways of living, and you are also at one with everything around you? Do you give yourself permission to have a relationship with life such that all information that is relevant to you is not separate to you? It doesn't exist in another. It doesn't exist in a book. It exists in your ability to listen. It exists in your ability to feel. It exists in your ability to trust and to know that what is coming through you is information of the highest frequency, is information that is of the highest love, that is information that is the most valuable information to you. Do you give yourself permission to have a relationship with life such that you and your level of connectedness, the volume is turned up and on all the time? Do you give yourself permission to finally trust in your intuition, in your connectedness to realms beyond this physical life? Do you give yourself permission to receive Source? Do you give yourself permission to surrender the you that wishes to control things, that wishes to believe that he or she knows? Do you give yourself permission to experience your powerfulness more than you ever have? And this powerfulness is changing, it's shifting, it's moving. It's moving from a focus on self. What can I create for me? What can I experience for myself? How can my life change for me? It's shifting. It's shifting from a me focus to a we focus. Do you give yourself permission to be that powerful that you know that one choice that you make not only impacts you, but impacts your family, that impacts your business, your clients, your team members, your community and beyond? Because this level of powerfulness is not focused on the individual anymore. That conversation is done. Do you give yourself permission to create in quantum ways? Do you give yourself permission to create quantum results? Going back to the conversation, that one choice that you make not only impacts you, but impacts the people around you and also people that you will never meet. Do you give yourself permission to dissolve limitation in the generations to come of your family? They no longer need to wear beliefs that you have worn and that past generations have worn. They no longer need to wear any dysfunctions, any stories, patterns. Freedom is available. 100% transmutation, 100% freedom from suffering is available. And it's here. And there are people that are experiencing that because they have given themselves permission to receive that. This is the level of powerfulness that this next big expansion promises us. Do you give yourself permission to experience the effortlessness that is now ours to have? We're aware of the illusions. We're aware of the stories. We know that we are more than this physical body. Do you give yourself permission to finally experience effortlessness? because that's what's here. That's what this next expansion invites us to experience. So some people will be going through contractions right now. Some people will be going through uncertainty and confusion. Some people will be going through chaos. Because effortlessness is here on the other side of that. And then there are other people who are not experiencing any of those things. Maybe they're experiencing more of a boredom, neutrality. Maybe the chaos and the suffering is no longer relevant for them. But their expansion has not stopped. Their expansion, their next big expansion is beckoning them. Do you give yourself permission? Because nobody can give you permission to step into this next big expansion. There is no circumstance, whether that be around timing or money or things needing to be in place. None of that is relevant to the conversation about permission. Nobody needs to understand the permission you give yourself to dive into this next big expansion. Nobody needs to understand it. Nobody needs to agree with it. Nobody needs to approve. You are an evolutionary leader. If this next big expansion has been beckoning you, has been knocking at your door, tapping on your shoulder, shouting at you, whispering, you are an evolutionary leader. You sense that there is another version of reality that is effortless and creative and full and abundant. You might not know what that is. More than likely, you won't know what that looks like right now, but you can feel it. And this next version of life, next version of reality wants to be born through you, through your vessel. And it may mean, and more than likely it will mean, that you will rock the boat. You will rattle some cages. You will disturb thinking, opinions, the status quo. You will. And that's why it's redundant and totally unhelpful for anyone outside of you to understand or approve or agree with you and the permission that you give yourself to move with this next big expansion. They don't understand. They don't have the capacity yet. That's your job. That's your job. To accept and to own the evolution that is moving through you. And you must go first. You first. And when you go first, when you say yes, fully yes, and you fully give yourself permission, then by default, others begin to catch on. And you will see it. They may not even be conscious of what has happened. They might not even be able to language it in the way that you do. But their lives will change because you gave yourself permission. So quantum results are available in this next big expansion. And quantum results are available in an experience of life that is effortless. No more struggle. Do you give yourself permission? Do you give yourself permission? Does the human version of you that has a sovereign right as to how they choose to live their lives, do you give yourself permission? So let's take it onto another level now. We've talked about permission at a human level. Let's talk about permission now at a level that supersedes your humanness. So I invite you for this moment to feel your beingness. Your beingness that is not separate to anything, that is limitless, eternal, connected to many realms beyond this physical world. That exists outside of time and space and identity. Do you feel your beingness? Do you feel the vastness, the spaciousness of your beingness? Do you feel the effortlessness of your beingness? Do you feel creation here? Do you feel evolution here? It does not need to come with thought. It does not even need to be physicalized. It does not need to come in any tangible form right now. It's a feeling. Do you feel creation here? That is you. Is permission relevant to this version of you? Is permission a relevant conversation here? Perhaps not. Perhaps evolution is already in existence. I believe so. And so, when the you that is connected to everything, that is consciousness itself, that is creation, that is evolution. When this meets with your human self, who has given themselves permission, there's an electric spark when the two meet. And your physical human vessel becomes the conduit for a conversation that is yours in your leadership to see, to own, and to be. So when the you that is infinite meets the you in physical form, in human form, with all of your life experiences, when these meet, there's an electric spark that happens that informs the conversation that you, and only you, are here to hold and to have. When the two meet, when you are all of who you are, when you are the human self with your identity and your life experiences and your beliefs and your uncertainty, and your successes and your failures, and your conflicts and your joys. When this version of you meets the you that is infinite, that is love, divine perfection speaks and informs you of the conversation that you and only you are here to have, to hold, and to lead. And it's this conversation, that will evolve how we do business, how we do life, how we do relationships, how we do health, how we do money. It's this conversation that will evolve how we do all of that through you. The next big expansion is here, and it's moving through you. And it's moving through you to disturb the status quo, to bring a new paradigm of reality that is effortless and fully abundant and creative. Do you give yourself permission to be all of who you are? Do you give yourself permission to be the evolutionary leader that your soul chose to be?